left if that's available.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, Palm Springs altimeters 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, you're requesting straight in for 13.
If that's available, please.
Remember, correction, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, make straight in runway 13 left and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, thanks.
Palm Springs clearance, plus 4658 is type PC12 slam call, request clearance to Vegas S found.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon, unable to give you S found, I'll be full route standby. Plus 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas airport via Flight Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs, Victor 370 to 29 Palms, Victor 538, Cresso, join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000, expect flight level 2405 minutes after departure, departure frequency 126.7, squawk 6316.
Plus 4658 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Cresso 3, initially climb 7,000, expect 40FG5, departure 167, focus 6316 plus 465.
Plus 4658, reback is correct. Tango Mike, taxi to the ground via Echo and this frequency.
Taxiing to the ramp via Echo, remaining on this frequency, Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike.
Ontario Tower, Cessna 237 Charlie Alpha, approximately 4 miles to the west, inbound to land.
Number 237 Charlie Alpha, roger, inner left traffic, left downwind runway 26 left, report base.
Enter left downwind for 26 left and report your base, 237 Charlie Alpha.
Charlie Tower, United 242, on the visual for 20 right, will be turning for a right base shortly.
United 242 John Wayne Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 170, number 3.
Clear to land, 20 right, United 242.
Panama Tower, King Alpha 208 Kilo, ILS 4.
Here 520 Yankee Kilo, Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind 210 at 1.
The land,
Number 237 Charlie Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
26 left, clear to land, 7 Charlie Alpha.
Palm Springs ramp plus 4658 east ramp with weather going for taxi.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs ground, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Trail right via Echo Bravo 465.
Riverside Tower, good morning, November 2903 Alpha with you on the ILS.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, good afternoon. Runway 9 clear low approach, report miss.
November 2903 Alpha, low approach, runway 9, next report with
Palm Springs Tower plus 4658 ready to go trail right at Bravo.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs Tower, runway 31 right, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff trail right plus 465.
Panama Tower, King Alpha 208
Here's our Yankee Kilo, roger, taxi into the ramp via Alpha.
Yeah, Alpha.
Plus 4658, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure 465.
Cessna 7 Charlie Alpha is clearly active, taxi to the GA parking base.
We're 7 Charlie Alpha, remain on this frequency, taxi into the south ramp via Sierra.
South ramp via Sierra with you, 7 Charlie Alpha, thanks.
Number 2903 Alpha going around.
Number 03 Alpha, confirm going around or going missed?
November 2903 Alpha going missing.
Number 03 Alpha, roger, execute the published missed approach procedure.
Flying published mid-approach procedure, November 2903.
Piper 2903 Alpha, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure, 03 Alpha.
Number 03 Alpha, departure frequency will be 135.4.
135.4 for departure, November 2903 Alpha.
Ontario Tower, November 516 Delta Mike, inbound ILS 26 left.
Number 516 Delta Mike, Ontario Tower. Good afternoon, Ontario. Wind is calm. Runway 26 left, clear to land.
26 left, clear to land, 6 Delta Mike. Ontario Tower, November 36. Correction, 516 Delta Mike, clear of the active at uniform, taxiing to the south apron.
Number 6 Delta Mike, roger, taxiing the south ramp via Sierra. Remain on this frequency.
Via Sierra on this frequency, 6 Delta.
Riverside Tower, good evening. November 2903 Alpha
2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, runway 27, clear to land.
Clear to land on runway 2703 Alpha. Riverside ground, November 2903 Alpha. In Alpha, request taxi to the transient partner.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside ground. In the future, don't switch to the ground frequency unless you're told to do so. You should stay with tower, exiting the runway all the way to the hold short point. Stay on this frequency for now, taxi into the ramp via Alpha.
Taxi to ramp via Alpha. Roger. Number 2903 Alpha.
Runway clear. Runway clearance. November 6th. Charlie Mike Cherokee. I would like to attempt the I-4 rating today.
Cherokee 76 Charlie Mike Jolly clearance. Good evening. Good luck on the I-4 destination. Will be, let's go, Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo.
That's Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo. 6 Charlie Mike.
Yes, sir. Good luck.
I'm going to sign off and collect some information for this destination. I'll sign back in. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Just report when you're back with the I-4. And how long do you think it'll be? It's not going to be more than an hour, is it?
No. I have to file and get some charts and plates.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll still be here, so it shouldn't be a problem. And we'll look for your flight plan to come through. And we should learn some.
Las Vegas Tower Plus 4658 is unusual and on the right 4500.
Plus 4658 Las Vegas Tower, runway 19 right, clear to land, wind 1807.
Clear to land 19 right 465.
Plus 658 exit right, taxi into the ramp via hotel, remain on this frequency today.
Exit right via hotel, land frequency 465.
Beach ground, number 95 for Whiskey Alpha's Piper Comanche PH4/Alpha. Taxi be active, VFR east departure with weather.
Calling Long Beach ground, need you to verify your call sign, please.
Sorry about that, 916 Whiskey Alpha, November 916 Whiskey Alpha.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach ground, roger. And just confirm VFR eastbound.
Eastbound and east ramp just south of runway 25.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, roger, runway 26 right, taxi via Kilo.
Okay, 25 right via Kilo, 916 Whiskey Alpha. Long Beach Tower, November 916 Whiskey Alpha, holding short of 25 right Kilo, ready for departure via Parker East.
Around 16 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Tower, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff, right downwind departure, approved.
Clear for takeoff 25 right, right downwind departure 6 Whiskey Alpha.
Good day, Palm Springs, ground scanning Hotel Tango, coming east ramp, India, close traffic, runway 31 right.
Papa Hotel Tango, do you mind? Palm Springs ground, say again aircraft type.
For a Cessna Sky.
Skyline Tango, do you mind? Thank you, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Echo and Bravo, 31 right, Papa Hotel Tango.
We're 791 Juliet, Torrance ground left clear.
Okay, Skype 791 Juliet. We see there's no clearance delivery with this field, so would we get our departure instructions with tower or with ground?
Always go with the lowest, so we'll start with ground. Just say your intentions.
Okay, Skype 791 Juliet. Type Cessna 172 on the south hangars with the numbers requesting VFR advisories to
Number 791 Juliet, roger, departure frequency 134.9er, squawk 2061.
1249, that's 2061, squawk 791 Juliet.
Got 901 Juliet, read back this correct, are you ready to taxi now?
In a couple of minutes, just gotta go around inside. It's Sky 791 Juliet, south hangars, now
Sky 791 Juliet, roger, runway 29 right, taxi via hotel, correction, taxi via Alpha in Juliet.
29 right, taxi via Alpha and Juliet, Sky 791.
Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. That's where we are today. Good to see you all finish. Good to see you as well here on the stream. I know you've been busy, but appreciate you being here aboard. Lifesaver, thanks for the auto host. Mini webs, thanks for the auto host. And AJ and Valdude and the Sky Lounge and John Fly. Thank you so much, guys, for the auto host. That's again something that I really appreciate. Evanek, good to see you as well. Today we're going to do a very interesting flight, a flight that I was already been curious of for quite some time, and that is a flight from one Bravo airport to the next with our trusty little Skyhawk from San Diego Airport to LAX. So the inverted Cat 11 rated flight. I'd like to do also other flights to Las Vegas as well. Those are the three: San Diego, LAX, and Las Vegas for the the basics PilotEdge coverage area, the core coverage area. Those are the three main Bravo airports that we can fly to or fly from. And I'm very curious to see what the procedures are. Namely, I don't know exactly what the procedure is that you should follow to enter a particular Bravo. With the Cat 11 rating to San Diego, we used VFR flyways to get us near to San Diego International Airport outside of the Bravo, and that is a general rule to follow. I guess the same would also apply to LAX, but LAX is not that nicely tucked away into Echo airspace that we can follow, as is the case with San Diego. So I have no idea actually what the right procedure is to get to LAX, so we'll just see together how that would follow. I've checked with Marcus to make sure that we are even legal or even allowed to make a flight. Evanek suggested a while ago that perhaps that might not be the case. Well, that was just a plain suggestion. I thought, well, I can imagine that the San Diego International or any kind of Bravo airport controllers might deny our departure request or arrival request because we are just a tiny Skyhawk that is trying to fit into all the big plane departures and arrivals. But Marcus said, no, sure, you're totally allowed to do that as long as you are aware of Bravo airspace. You need to align yourself with those instructions, altitude instructions, and heading instructions. You're totally fine to do that, which was great. He actually gave quite an elaborate explanation today of the departure of San Diego, which was actually something that I would expect to fly. So that's what we're going to do today. So that's exciting, but also as part of my training, I'm going to fly the GPS, which actually makes life quite a bit more easy. So we can fiddle around. Also, what I've done, also tweeted about, is that I've managed to set Spot Next, the software that I use to program all my SciTech panel buttons and levers and stuff, which is a great app. If you're flying with SciTech panels yourself, get Spot Next because you can program the hell out of it. And so what I did is actually use one of the modes of my radio panel, the transponder mode that I never use, to program the dials and buttons for the GNS 530. Which is my main master device. So now with my hardware here, I can actually turn the knob and the outer knob and also push the clear button and the enter button, which actually works great. So I'm planning to use that right now to program the GPS or the GNS as well. So that's interesting. Hey Sniper, good to see you as well. Evanek, I'll join you on Discord in a few minutes, making dinner first. That is very, very nice, but I haven't turned Discord on just yet. We can, I think. Let me see. Again, hoping so much that OBS doesn't crash on us, guys. Apparently, my updated drivers, did not solve the solution. Did not solve the problem, I mean. Passengers, and there I am. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Okay, so that's the idea of the flight. We're currently at San Diego. We got VMC actually. We're flying with real world weather. It doesn't seem like it though, but if I look at the METARs, it should be VMC and it should be getting even more VMC along our route. One runway at San Diego. I guess with the Bravo airport, you might expect many different runways, but no, just one plain runway. With the city of San Diego very nearby. It's actually a lovely airport to fly towards or fly from. So in our case, we are going to depart here as well. I guess from runway 27, I'm going to fly out, go up north to this mountain, what's it called? Soledad or something like that, I guess. And then we'll get to Echo airspace as soon as possible, get clear of the Bravo. That's the main mission of the controllers. Get our slow Cessna out of the Bravo, and then we're gonna go up north to LAX and see whatever happens. So let me brief you on the flight that I've planned so far. Hey John, good to see you. I'm using the so Spot Next. I'm using Spot Next to program the radio panel. I think you're also flying with the radio panel, I think. And I'm flying with the Reality XP GNS 530, and that added a whole list of key bindings in X-Plane. So for example, I'm also flying with the 430 Reality XP, and those have also separate key bindings. So I've programmed those with Spot Next, and it works great. So that's a big recommendation. I will show you in just a sec. We'll have to manipulate GNS with that. Yeah, obviously. You should, John. You should. And what I did also, because we've got two stacks right on the radio panel, I used the mode of the transponder with the turning thing on the radial panel, because I don't use the transponder with the radial panel. I just plug it in here with my mouse cursor. So I've used that mode to switch over to the GNS mode. And with the lower row of buttons with the knob and with the button, I set those to turning the right knob of the GNS, the inner and the outer. And I used the flop switch, the white switch button for that one was, well, I don't remember by heart, the clear button, or also the push to cursor button. And what's nice with Spot Next, you can program two kind of dimensions of that white flop button. There's a short press and there's a long press, and so that gives some additional options, right, to program the thing. So I've used the bottom white button for, I think, push the cursor, and if I push it long, for the enter. And I use the upper stack of the radial panel, if I also put that one into transponder mode, the flop button for a menu and for clear. And I use that knob and inner thing for not only the outer, for range, so I can change the range while I'm flying, and that combination actually works pretty well. Yeah, so what I planned is this nice flight. So from San Diego up to LAX. Exciting because I don't know how the arrival in LAX goes. I would say get as near to LAX outside of the Bravo, but we've got a lot of airspace there. So also John Wayne that we need to cross over. So the one thing that I do know, which is actually quite the inverted procedure with the Cat 11 arrival at San Diego, is make use of the flight chart, right? That's always number one to do if you're going to get close, want to get close to a Bravo or get there as a destination airport. So here, what we like to do, here's San Diego, that one runway, and as I expected, and Marcus confirmed this earlier today, we're going to get instructions to fly particular heading, particular altitude, and go up north, so we get as quickly as possible in this Echo airspace below 4,800, as you can see. Then we've got a kind of a sandwich kind of airspace here, so you can see there's Bravo from 1,800 to 3,200, so we can underfly that Bravo if we like. We could also go a little bit higher, fly between 3,200 and 6,800. In our case, that would be 4,500. We're flying a little bit to the west via 4 altitudes, or we can fly above 10,000 feet. Well, with the Cessna Skyhawk, that wouldn't really work. Also, we don't have that much distance to get to that altitude. So Marcus actually said, well, I would prefer to fly lower, so the below 1,800 feet, because it's such a wonderful scenery here along torn golf courses and stuff that you can see along the coast. Well, I'm going to fly at 4,500, I think. And if I do not make it at 4,500, I've got this piece of Echo airspace here around Mount Soledad to get to 4,500. I cannot bash into the Bravo that's on top of me at 4,800, as you can see. So 4,500 and then up north. And I'm going to stay along the coast. As you can see, there are departure and arrival routes there. So if I, and that's just the radial from, what's the Oceano? Is that what the, I don't know what the VOR is called. I guess Oceano. So not fly that radial, but keep a little bit right to it in this case. Keep nearer to the coastline. Also, in case of an engine out, I can make it to land a little bit more quickly. So I'm going to stay to the right side there, or the east side of that radial, and going to fly all the way up to 6,500 until we, when we are clear of this Bravo airspace. Again, the GNS will help us here because all of those airspaces are depicted. Then we're going to overfly this stuff, and then we get to the flight chart of, you guessed it, LA. Where is it? It's here. Please load. Yeah. So we come from the bottom here and we fly over the Charlie airspace of John Wayne at 6,500. That will be fine. You can see the flyways here also prefer us to fly at 6,500 when we go that direction. We'll still fly underneath the Bravo here that starts at 7,000. And here I'm going to expect the approach controller to say, well, Tim, you are headed towards LAX. You get clearance to get into the Bravo. Perhaps the approach controller is going to say, well, I don't like you to fly at 5,000 or 6,500 into the Bravo. I would like you to get as low as possible. Well, why? Because I see this particular VFR flyway at 2,500. So perhaps the approach controller might say, well, Tim, fly to the Vince Thomas Bridge or the Queen's Gate or some visual reporting point over here. Get down, circle down, whatever you like to do. Get down to 2,500 and then fly over Zamperini here. Torrance, I think I believe it's Torrance, yeah. And then fly straight to LAX and enter the left downwind for runway 24 or whatever. I don't know what the runways are exactly. I do not know. That's the excitement of today. And I think it's really educational. I also think it's fun as a Cessna Skyhawk to consider flying from one Bravo to the next. We can, as Cessna, at least here in PilotEdge. I guess in the real world you need to phone ahead and have a lot of money to pay for the landing fees and stuff. But I think it's here in PilotEdge, it's really fun to do. So that means flight following as well. Yeah, so that's the flight. So not a lot of waypoints to tune into. I guess I'm going to tune these waypoints into my GNS. So only Oceanside it's called, yeah, Oceanside VOR, just from San Diego. And I'm not going to fly exactly that track, so I'm not going to use nav mode, but just going to use my GNS, that routing, just to fly visually on hand. And do that first initial piece here to get outside of the Bravo, and then we can use the nav mode as well, and also use the autopilot. Still, I prefer to fly Slant Alpha and without the autopilot, as you guys know, but it's good practice. All right, well, we are flying with real world weather, so let's have a quick look. Today's forecast, low pressure area, and we got a front line there, really high up north, but still. Okay, so I expect cloud formings and that kind of stuff. This is valid 1500 Zulu. We're currently living at 1730, so this is already a bit dated. But as you can see, the weather is improving, which is as expected because we already passed sunrise in LA, and so the heat is warming up everything, and so also the clouds and fog and stuff is evaporating, which is great. So no air mats active for today. That's great. Significant weather chart, 06 Zulu to the left. You can see some marginal VMC there over LA, and it's still there at 1800 Zulu, and that's still a bit current. So the question is now, what kind of marginal VMC do we have in terms of clouds, in terms of visibility, or both? So let's have a look. 1200 Zulu, yeah, and this is already ahead of time. So that marginal VMC will stay there. It's actually expanding a bit over the ocean. Satellite imagery, well, we are not talking about thick clouds, perhaps not even clouds. But looking outside here, you can see some broken clouds here at scattered clouds, perhaps around San Diego. But perhaps those clouds are not that thick because, well, it's a little bit weird. I would expect then to see some other colors, because it's totally red, and if you look at the scale on top, you would say they are really thick clouds. Perhaps it's not loading. Okay, ceilings. Those start at around 3,000-ish feet. That might mean that our cruising altitude of 6,500 might bring us right into the clouds. We'll have to see. In case that happens, I'm totally aware of this weather, the current weather, and in the real world I wouldn't do this flight, but as part of my IFR training here, I will just use the flexibility and the opportunity of a flight sim to fly in the clouds or in marginal VMC or IMC for practice sake. And that might perhaps be a little bit too much of a challenge, but it's just fun. So even as a VFR pilot, I will make that VFR flight, even though we will not be legal to do such a flight in that weather. Still, I'm aware of that decision. Alrighty then, so clouds, and that's at 0900 by the way, 1200 Zulu, 1800. So you can see there's still a cloud ceiling there, and still around the same kind of altitude. Yeah, it's a little bit, you can see it's already rising a bit in altitude here. But that's many hours ahead. So I think we'll see some clouds along our entire flight. Stefan, good to see you as well. Do you have a moving map on a tab, like ForeFlight or so? Well, this is ForeFlight. This second screen, which is really, really wonderful. I'm not projecting my current location on ForeFlight, which is actually an option that I can use and explain. But rather, I like to fly with the GNS here. And even ultimately, I just like to fly without GPS because I like to infer my position based on the sectional and looking outside. It's a really fun exercise, to me at least. It's more engaging. Precipitation forecast, none for the time being. You do see that that cold front from the left low pressure area is turning clockwise or counterclockwise, I should say. So it's gradually coming towards us, but it's far ahead in time. Visibility, that's not much of an issue, at least not at 09er. 100 Zulu, 1200, 1500, it's already dated, 1800. Well, a tiny bit, and it is on top of LEX, so 6 nautical miles. So I'm glad we're flying with the GPS today. I'm also setting it at just before sunset, so it's even going to be more IMC-ish. So it's going to be interesting to fly there. I guess with 6 nautical statute miles of visibility, we'll still able to see LEX, but it's going to be a scenic ride. I hope I can make it to LEX. We'll have to see. Okay, winds at 6,000 are coming from the west. So we'll have a little bit of a crosswind there, but they are not that strong, at least at 6,000 feet. And what was the date? It's also important to over the time. 1200 Zulu, so it's still dated. 1800, oh yeah, you can see the winds are a bit changing, obviously. So still coming from the west, but they are a little bit more strong. So we can look at ForeFlight to see what actually our headwind or our wind component actually is and how it affects our entire flight. But this, again, it gives you a general look and it confirms, right? You can see it's a low pressure area. The wind barbs are flowing from that counterclockwise direction. So that's the lower pressure area. Okay, freezing levels at around 13,000, no, even higher, 15,000, so that's not an issue for us, at least. We're flying in moist area, we see clouds and stuff, also visibility, so there's obviously moist in the air. So if we got around freezing levels, even below 10 degrees Celsius plus, we need to turn on our pitot heats to just prevent icing. So that's something that should be on our mind for each flight. And probability is therefore none at 7,000, but still be sure. Avanek, never to the time to look this up. What's the difference between statute miles and nautical miles? Well, I think just a 0.2 miles or so. Not that much, but it's a good question. Okay, so that's the weather. Very, very good. So marginal VMC-ish, IMC-ish, this would not be a good VFR flight, but hence, flight sim, we can do this. And we might learn something as well. That's perhaps too challenging to fly as a VFR pilot here. We'll have to see. Again, this is our flight. Wonderful. So we're currently at San Diego. This is the airport diagram. We are parked over there. Thank you ForeFlight again for setting it to 25 pixels, which is insane. Yeah. There we are. So I'm going to expect a runway 27 for a departure. We also need to go west and then go up. So it's going to be a taxi from Juliet to Charlie 27. A very short taxi. That's wonderful. Frequencies are there on top. We need to sign in with clearance because I like to have flight following as well. Anything else? No, I don't. We'll be handed over to departure and stuff, so no other frequencies we need to look up. That's basic, I think. We can also look at LAX, obviously. Again, it's going to be a nice approach with a Cessna 172 on LAX. Marginal VFR currently. Anything we need to look up? Well, perhaps the traffic pattern altitude. What runway are we going to get? Well, I don't know by heart whether the 2-4 runways are at the south side of the airport or whether those are the 25 numbered 250 runways are at the bottom. I do not really know. Do I see something of a traffic pattern indication over here? Traffic pattern, right pattern is for 2-4 right. Well, I guess we're just going to hear from tower. Airport facility director. Yeah, good luck with this. I mean, traffic pattern altitude. That's also not. I think no aircraft is allowed to make a traffic pattern. I guess just an arrival at the air. I mean, with a small GA VFR aircraft. But if you are an LAX, I think even on pilots, you're going to say, "Hey, Marcus, can I do some traffic patterns here on LAX?" He would say no. He would say no, I guess. Also 737. But I guess just an arrival is fine. Okay, well, we're going to look this up as soon as we are there. Plates. Hey, Paz, good to see you as well. Hope you are doing fine. Finish G, you can always use special VFR to get out. That's true. Not a recommended approach, as I learned, but we can do that. That's true. So very briefly, if the clouds or visibility are below VMC, in the terminal area of the airport, you can request special VFR to just transition through the clouds and be sure that you will get into VMC eventually. But you cannot request special VFR for your entire en route leg or something like that. It's only for the very terminal local area. Paz, do you have used SimBrief? No. No. Just for flight here. Okie doke, let's get into the cockpit. There we are. Can't wait to show you guys the turning knobs thing of the radio panel. Hoping that it still works, actually. Let's center my track IR. Here we are. Again, nicely parked here. Look at wonderful San Diego. I think this is Greg's as well. Wonderful scenery again. Highly recommended scenery. Taxi here to the left. I can see the taxiway signs. Charlie 127. Okay, let's get going, guys. Don't have that much time, and I really like to get to LAX. Although haste is not a good mindset to fly at all, and it actually transfers to the sim as well. If you're hasty or stressed or sick or what, well, you ever call, what's the acronym? I'm safe, I believe. Well, those different psychological conditions or physiological conditions can actually also mess you up in the sim. Mystery X it is, GPP. All right. Well, I'm such a fan of yours that every time I see a great airport scenery, I think, oh, that's Greg's, but it's not. Also, Greg, just a very blunt and bold kind of request. I would really love you to do Lima 45, Bakersfield, the non-towered airport. It still has some, I believe the Google Maps scenery is actually kind of nice in the photo reel, but it's a really nice airport. It's such a great area there to fly. So I'm hoping that that will be next on the list. Okay. Shameless. Here we are, door closed. Cold and dark check. Park and brakes are set. Fire extinguishers and live vests that pretend that they are there. Door is closed. ELT is set to auto. Flap lever is up and our flaps are up. My side tech thingies work. Trim is set. Fuel tank set to both. Cutoff is in. Alternate is in. Circuit breakers are nicely tucked in. My switch panel is working as well. Beacon lights. Let's switch that one on. Even though it's not charged yet, it's good that it goes on as soon as we turn on the battery, so anyone on the RAM knows something is going to happen there. And avionics are off. That's very important. Roger. Then the control surfaces to the right. That one goes up, down, up, down. Also finish. Thanks a lot again for the King's School scores. I finished the videos on the GNS. It's great content. I think I will rewatch just a few videos to really get it synced in because there's a lot to it. But it's great support. Thanks again. All right, that's good. Batteries on. No. Well, they should be on. Okay, I guess I've been tinkering with the avionics here off stream, and I think the rep, Simcoders rep, has remembered that I've been not running the engine obviously while doing that, and so I probably drained the batteries. Recharge. Thanks for the follow, Flyboy. Welcome on board. Batteries on. That's much better. We refueled as well, full fuel. Okay, like to see if my avionics work. At least the displays work. My transponder is off in VFR. That's good as well. Let's turn down the flaps. We're not going to do an external walk around. So I just like to see if they go down in sync. They do. Takes a lot of energy actually to do this. You can see the M-meter is actually reacting to that, which is great. Then the annunciator messages seem right to me, south, and everything is on. Wonderful. Then a little bit of a throttle, something like this. Parking brakes are set, fuel tank set to both, fuel pump on, fuel flow, 2, 3, cut off, fuel pump off, and yeah, is anyone walking around? Everyone is sitting nicely, tucked in, behind me. Alrighty then. Your prop. Make sure full in. Perfect. Generator on. You can see a rise in the M meter. Let's see. I see a peak there. It's kind of difficult to see now, but it's over there. Good. And our oil pressure is already in the green, as you can see. Within 30 seconds, it should. Avionics on, and now
taxi.
We can set some stuff. And also turn off the COM1 here. Well, good luck with that as well, Paz. Exactly, Evanek. Okay, so yeah, so this should work actually. Let me see. Looking at my radio panel, I mean. So I can only control the 530. I've also fixed all the crossfail issues, or all. There was a crossfail issue, right? With the previous stream, I noticed that that option was not available. Also, the CDI did not correspond or respond to the track. Well, it was just a plain checkbox that I needed to check in the settings. I don't know why you would not have that feature checked on, but again, I checked those and it works magnificently. I don't know. Let me see if this works. What is the button? I believe I now need to press. Yeah, you can see the CDI is working. Self-test, and there we are. I can now use my outer knob here to zoom out and zoom in, which is great. So I can also switch between page. I will zoom just a little bit in for you guys and see it a little bit better. I can swap between the page groups. Within the page group, hey, my music is turning on. That's interesting. Oh, that's what's happening. Yeah, I was telling also in the previous stream that I would like to fly with music as well, because I always fly with music off stream. We could just keep it on, why not? And I set different key bindings here on my yoke and also on my radio panel, but I now notice that I've got double key bindings, one for the GNS and also one for the music, and those interfere. So suddenly when I was turning that knob there, suddenly my music stopped or went on. Perhaps it will still work. I don't know. Yeah, it does, which is not useful at all, so I'm gonna change those. Because I don't like to see the music go on and off while I'm using the GNS. Delete. Alright, no music. No music it is. Yeah, so anyways, I can use the my radio panel here to go through the different groups. I can also go to different pages, which is just great. So what I'm going to do is set, also let's enable this one. That's fine. We're currently in San Diego. The GNS already knows. Push. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to fly first to Oceano. Again, I'm going to fly a little bit around it. Perhaps we're going to get some vectors, most obviously, while we're in the Bravo from the controller. So I do that by hand. And then once we're out of the Bravo, we can catch that particular radio. So we're going to fly to Oceano, right? I think that's just OCN to look for. Let's see what happens. This one. O. C. So you see how fast this goes, guys. Really, if you've got a radio panel, tune it in. And Oceanside. Then I need to press my swap button. Enter. There it is. Ha! That's interesting. Next one. Next one is Seal Beach. Alright, Seal Beach. There we go. To the S. Our music is still running, I think. Oceanside, exactly, John Fly. SL. Weird that my music is still reacting. So I just turned off all the keybinds. Seal Beach. Enable. What do you like to use? Oh, that's interesting. I like to use the VOR, please. Hello? Oh, no, I used to use that button. I like to go up. Why cannot go up? I can go down. Brazil? Duplicate waypoints. Clear. Seal Beach. Okay, apparently I pushed the wrong button. Oceanside, Seal Beach, roger. And then, oh, sorry guys, my map was overlaying. And then we're gonna use just plain old LAX, and we'll get vectors as well, I think. So again, turn. What's also handy by using the radial panel in this case is that virtually, if you use the mouse, I have set the natural head movements by XP Realistic, and so your mouse cursor gradually changes your position on the knob. And so suddenly, if I incidentally push the cursor button while I was setting up my my waypoint, and then the thing blanks out, which is really annoying. But now with the hardware here, that issue does not occur anymore. LAX. Yeah, I could go the other way around. Enter. Boom. And that's our flight. And if I now say clear? Clear. No. Yeah, now clear. And again clear. Keep it clear. No, that's menu. I just go to my nav page, I guess. Nav page? Yeah, there we are. And now I can zoom out. No, let's zoom in. Again, this is something I need to remind myself of. And it's now track up. Indeed. I can also switch to the first nav page, which is a little bit... Yeah, it's a little bit different, which is good. It's wonderful. This is okay. This is good. Don't like to zoom that much in. You can also get rid of the highways and stuff. This is weird. Why is my song request working? I've turned that stuff off. What keys? Song requests. Everything is off. Oh, apply. That makes a difference. Okay, so now it doesn't. Click to explain. Yep. Roger. Yeah, so a little bit higher up. I do like to see the airspace here. Does that make sense? Well, it should in a moment. Okay, well, we can also set the frequencies, radio frequencies with the GNS. I'm not going to. So now I'm going to switch my radio panel to nav COM1. Let's have a look at the frequencies. First ATIS. That is 134.8. Also, John, I uploaded my profile, my uncertified pilot profile of all my stuff to the Spotnext server. So you can also just download snippets, I think, or download the profile and just copy paste, so you don't need to look for those key bindings and stuff. If you also have that Reality XP 530, I think. Don't know if it also works with the default GNS. 134.8. Roger. Next ATIS is going to be LAX, which is 133.8. 133.8. Okay, and my clearance delivery is 125.9. Yeah, Snipe, indeed. Well, with the GNS, we got automatic time because it's calculated for us. So that's a little bit less of an exercise. I tried that with the previous stream quite well, actually. Also by the help of you and reminding me with this wonderful sound bits. 125.9. That's clearance, and I like to have ground as well, 123.9. Okay. That's set. Let's listen to ATIS. Grab our ATIS.
San Diego INTL information Victor. 0 Zulu weather. Wind light and variable, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 2200 few, 4500 broken, temperature 20, dew point 14. Altimeter 2986. Arriving runway 09. Departing runway 09. Advise on initial contact. You have Victor.
Victor. Roger. Just double check the airport elevation here. Where are we? We're quite high on top. Airport elevation. Is Keith aboard? Oh my gosh. Didn't see him in chat just yet, but... let me see. San Diego Airport, yeah, 17 feet, that corresponds with our altimeter there. Roger, that altimeter is not broken in any case. Okay, so again, not VMC style. We're actually, this is not great flying weather as a VFR pilot, but I'm just going to because it's a sim and it's also IMC practice. So we might fly a little bit into the clouds based on our wonderful GNS here. So that's going to be exciting. Runway 27 we can expect. Heading indicator is in sync with our compass. Again, engine is nicely warmed up. That's great. Already set the clock to the timer. That's great as well. And very slowly the sun is going down. Perhaps I'm hoping that around LAX we see some sunset. Otherwise I will just manipulate the time a bit because it's so nice. Yeah, Bas, it's default weather. Yeah, it looks great. Just explain. Okay, so let's turn on the COM 1 and get our call. First cold call. Where are we? Well, we're on the... yeah, where are we? General aviation parking. Well, we can refer to that.
November 3161 Tango is leaving the control zone, presently passing 2,300 feet.
061 Tango, contact departure.
Contact departure, 61 Tango.
6,500 to LAX. Anything else? Slant Golf, we are. I'm going to mess that one up. I'm so used to saying Slant Alpha. I love this hobby, guys. Just pops up. And we're talking to San Diego, right? No, Lindbergh. That's also an interesting one. As you can see at the airport diagram, you can see on top Lindbergh Tower. I guess that also means Lindbergh Ground, Lindbergh Delivery. So even though the airport is called San Diego International, you would speak to them based on what you see on the airport diagram, I believe.
R61 Tango, let's make this easier. They're flighting 110, join me to 390.
Lindbergh clearance. Good day, Sky Papa Hotel Tango. Your mic, VFR request.
R61 Tango, if the then instruction is not used, don't assume then. That's an actual formal phraseology, the word then. So if I say clear direct Paradise, join Victor 394, you just point the airplane at Paradise and then intercept Victor 394 at the first possible convenience, which would be 3 miles from now. If I say clear direct Paradise, then join Victor 394, you have to go all the way to Paradise, turn back around. Well, that would be an invalid instruction because I don't give you a way to get to Victor 394.
Did he hear me? He's now responding, the pilot, on another frequency.
Number 572, Juliet Papa, sound like you were calling for clearance.
That's Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike, Cessna Skyhawk on Limburg, San Diego.
PHM, Limburg, Clarence.
Papa Hotel Tango Mike is a Cessna Skyhawk, slant Golf. We're currently at the General Aviation parking with Victor, looking for flight following to LAX at 6,500, if that's okay. Thanks for the follow.
PHTAM, cleared out of Los Angeles Bravo airspace on departure flighting 310, maintain VFR out of below 2,500. Departure frequency 119.6, squawk 2126.
After departure, heading 310 will stay at below 2,500. Departure frequency is 119.6 and squawk is 1216. And just to confirm, that's a San Diego International Airport, right, for the departure?
PHM, that's affirmative, Limburg, and the radio call sign for San Diego International is Limburg, and the squawk is 2126.
Roger that, Limburg, as in the name, and squawk is 2126 for Papa Delta Mike.
Read that correct. Same airport. You got radio call sign versus the airport names, two different. It's weird.
Yeah, roger that. Thanks. That was just what I was.
Same thing with El Monte and San Gabriel.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so that was exactly what I was telling you guys.
Emerald Tower, 569 Foxtrot Lima is off on Charlie.
To me, in his reply, I kind of heard LAX, and I thought, did he mistake my call? And he thinks I'm actually on Los Angeles. So I just wanted to clarify, and that's why I also mentioned San Diego. So that's why I knew what he was telling me about. Okay, so 310, stay at or below 2,500, 119.6 in the departure and squawk 2126. 2126. Again, big tip, set your numbers on your keyboard directly to set the transponder. No control, just one. That really works quite well, also in flight, so you don't have to look virtually into the cockpit. Okay. Exactly, John. Yeah, I didn't hear it wrong. Okay, so it's good that I confirmed. Thanks for noticing as well. All right, 310, that's good. So we're ready to go. Switch to ground. We've got a standby free now, so let's switch over to tower. We can also just go to the map here because it should be over here. Well, let's just go to the plate to be consistent. Limburg Tower, 118.3. Also, John, just to be honest, I'm actually quite jealous of how well and how far you actually come with your RFR flying. Obviously, I've been following you on your streams, but man, you made some leaps there. Also, obviously, in the real world with your friends flying. But man, your pronunciation and you're so rapid with all of that stuff. I cannot wait to own that as well. It's really inspiring to see that as sim pilots we can attain that level of ATC fluency. It's great to see. Anyways, let's get flying, guys. So tower is set in the standby and ground is 123.9er. All right. We're ready to taxi. Again, general aviation, Vector, we just assume that we're now talking with another guy, the ground controller, and let's see what kind of a taxi instruction we might get. PSV is the reason for my improvement. I know. That's inspiring. That's inspiring. Limburg ground, Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango Mike at the general aviation parking with Victor ready for taxi.
And 180.
Did not turn my come on radio button on. Limburg ground, Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango Indy Mike at the general aviation parking with Victor ready to taxi.
PHCIM, Limburg ground, squawk altitude, squawk 2126.
Squawking altitude now, 2126, Papa Hotel Tango Mike. Forgot to turn my mode.
PHCIM, thank you. Runway 27 taxi via Charlie.
27 via Charlie, Papa Hotel Tango Mike. Forgot to turn on my transponder into mode C. So I checked 1200, but with my avionics check, when I went from the flaps up, I did not pass the transponder. That's the reason for a checklist, guys. Not a big one, but anyways. 2-1 via Charlie, double check. Via Charlie 27 makes sense. Parker brakes released. Brakes work. 27, so as you can see on the heading indicator, we need to fly towards the right, so as for the taxi we need to go to the left. Here's the non-movement area threshold line, so we could have already taxied to this spot without any clearance.
61 Tango affirmative, something's wrong with it. Wind 120 at 9er, altimeter 29er, 8,
turn indicator,
7
slip indicator,
runway.
heading indicator. Everything else is stable, that's good.
One left in use.
We could use this one, we could also use the other one. And I prefer, also based on what I learned from Jason Shepard, which is a real-world instructor, to use the full length of the runway, because in case of an emergency you like to have all the runway you like. Even though we can easily depart from it, well, with an intersection departure, it's good to use the full length, so that's why. Winds were calm, but I'd like to turn my nose into the wind anyway. So we got any air cooling
Perform proper contact, so approach
as much
128.1.
as possible. There we are. Alright, park and brake set. Mixture full in, engine is already warm. 1800. Let's see if we've got some foul plugs on our hands.
314 Papa SoCal approach.
I expect so.
310.
No enunciated messages.
Vector LS
Everything is
120
stable.
approach.
Good.
Showing altimeter 298.
Yeah, back to both. Right, I can hear those spark
88.
plugs. Back 2000. Lean for roughness here. There it is. Keep it there for 20 seconds. Meanwhile, we're going to depart below 2,500, so we can fly 2,000 feet. Just pick an altitude.
Missed that. The
310 on the heading. We'll see how that will go.
61 Tango right, expect.
Don't need my. Let me see. That's transponder. I'll just use it here. A little bit of a better view of what's going on. Pull in, back to 1800s, left mag, yeah, that's fixed, and right as well, perfect, idle, again oil pressure is still there, no enunciator messages, good, and back to 1000, wonderful. Trim is set, lights on, and we are ready to go. Let's switch to tower and also put into the standby 119.6, our departure frequency. Alright. Ready to go, guys? LAX. I'm very curious to see what happens. Exactly, Hamium. I think so too. But PA also works, obviously. It's a great training tool. Yeah, so we're gonna fly to 3-1. We need to go to 4,500. Double check that Bravo airspace here. This is what we set. So this particular leg that we set into the GNS should actually. How can I? Looking at my GNS here, and this thing is actually blocking a little bit of that extra leg. I think I can disable this as well, but I don't know how. Anyways. I like to be very sure that we're not flying. Let me see. That's the, yeah, that's that airspace. Then it goes up, and we're going to stay at that side. Yeah. So this particular leg that you see here on the radial, this purple thingy here, that's exactly the track that we need to fly at 4,500. We need to get at 4,500 in time, right? Because we need to be there before we're going to go through. Let me see. Where is the? It's gonna. That thing is pointing to that little chunk. Oh no, that little chunk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, from 1800 to 3200. So before we're going to get into this chunk, hey, my ForeFlight is not updating. ForeFlight is handy in this case, so let's see if I can actually refresh it here. Looks good. Somehow it's got a weird refresh. What is going on there? It's not good. That's better. That's better. That's better. Are we back? Yes, we are back. So this chunk of airspace, as you can see, it starts at 1800 to 3200 and starts, then has a gap, and at 6800 it's going to start again. So I'd like to be at 4500 before we enter that chunk. So I got some echo airspace here to fly towards, so I need to be very careful and keep on climbing because we still need to stay at below 2500. If we do not get a clear altitude restriction, or that our restriction is cancelled, our altitude restriction, before we get to that Bravo, well, we need to pursue that heading. So then it's actually better to fly at 1800 and below. So to be safe, perhaps it's not good to fly 2000, but at 1500. So in either case I'm fine. If we get an altitude restriction, we might also just continue to fly at 1500 and climb already when we are at that side, a little bit north, which is perhaps a little bit safer, so we know that we are, in any case, clear to go. So 1500, that's what we're going to do. Good. Alright, let's get going, guys. Limburg Tower, Skyhawk Papa Hotel, Tango Mike is running short 27, ready for departure.
DHTIM Limburg Tower, runway 27, clear for takeoff, wind 100 at 9.
Clear for takeoff, 27, Papa Hotel, Tango Mike.
Formal Papa Vic, just right at your 12 o'clock, about 12:30, and 3 miles opposite direction on 30,200 type.
Fuel tanks ready. Okay. Let's get going, guys. Again, make sure no one is on final, even though the controller gave us a clearance to go.
61 Tango, descend and maintain 3,000. Clear direct Inish, cross Inish at 3,000, clear to RNAV, runway 11 left approach.
1500 feet, 310 on the heading. Full power. Right rudder there, airspeed's alive, engine is still in the green. Wind is coming from the left, so a little bit of crosswind correction here. And rotates. Grab into the wind. Nose a bit down to get to VY first and relieve that pressure. At 500 feet AGL, I believe already at 400, but I just stick to 500, we can follow up on the instructions of the clearance controller. So that 310 on the heading, not any sooner. There we go. Pretty stuff. Departing from a Bravo airport. That's 500 feet AGL. Let's make that turn, keep that climb going. You can see my GNS is nicely turning with me and corresponds or shows a track that I would expect. Keep that climb going and enjoy the scenery. 310, so double check with my magnetic compass, gyro drift. Get back to VY here. Yeah, seems good to me. Get a call to switch departure soon. Already set in a standby, that's perfect. We're not gonna get that handoff.
Report Papa contact Wind Tower 1261.
I will give a precision check.
PHTI under contact departure.
Over to departure, Papa Delta Mike. Switch. We're now at departure.
Retro for Papa John Wind Tower 20 left, clear to land, 180 at 1.
Airplane first, so 1500. There we go. So for departure, Skyhawk Papa Delta Mike is level 1500.
Upper Hotel Tango 8 next SoCal departure. What's your on-course heading? You're heading to LA, right? Correct?
We're going to LAX, yeah. Current heading is 310.
PHTI, cancel altitude restriction, resume on navigation.
Cancel altitude restriction and resume on nav. Orbital T mic. Okay, so what we could do, we're still cancel altitude restriction and resume on nav. So that means we need to be very explicit here.
And PHTI, I'm leaving Bravo airspace.
Leaving Bravo, Orbital T mic. That's what I'd like to hear. That means, if I look at my GNS, that perhaps we're going to leave the Bravo on a slightly different, if you know what I mean. And we cannot so freely re-enter the Bravo. So this is the leaving the Bravo airspace, this border. But there's another border over there. And that starts at 1800 to 3200. So this is a little bit different than Marcus suggested. So I'm now going to fly a little bit to the left here to stay clear or below 1800. We can also underfly it, obviously. What can we do? So we're now flying in this chunk here. We're not clear the Bravo because it starts at 1800 up to 10,000, that little chunk. Am I mistaken here? No, that's a little bit weird. I need to stay clear. I'm not trusting this. This 1800, we're still in the Bravo. So that's weird. We're now in this chunk, 1800. So this sector that we're now flying into, I think that's again kind of like a mess up of the controller. This is the Echo airspace that I was referring to earlier. That was a little bit, took me a little bit off my guard. And why? Because now we need to climb to, whoa, not too much. Perhaps we need to circle here a little bit to get to 4,500 first. Why? Because we were flying from here to there. And I think he was not really aware of that. So we actually crossed over two different Bravo airspaces, or how you call those, sectors. And I thought that the transition from the lower sector there to the first on top of it, in the north one there, was a clear of the Bravo, which was not the case. So I think the mess up is on my end here.
PHTIM traffic, 10 o'clock. As you're turning there, he's moving to your 9 o'clock, 3 miles southbound out of the corridor, altitude indicates 3,500, type in.
Roger that, we're still looking for that traffic pop at the T-Mic. I think he's in the clouds. Yeah, so that was my mistake. I saw the border of the Bravo sector that we were flying in, and I thought, oh, we're going to transition that sector, and so we're then outside of the Bravo. I thought that this chunk here, I didn't saw the far end here, so I thought they was already outside of the Bravo stuff, which is clearly not the case. Also should keep on climbing. So no, the controller did just great. I messed up as usual. Keep climbing to 4,500. So we're currently in Echo airspace. We're currently in this little thingy.
Our pop to parking. You can take it all the way down to the end. Exit left at the hotel. And via Alpha.
Come on, keep climbing, Tim. Again, this is why a GNS is very handy, because you can see those Bravo sectors. You have so much more improved situational awareness. Yeah, so I'm a little bit wobbly here on my climb here, because I'm doing many things at the same time, which I should actually be able to, but my speed should just be VY, and I should just climb to 4,500. What we could do is, rather than keep on turning, turn to the left soon to capture this track. Come on, go up, Tim. And we go into the soup as well. Vacuum is still good. A little bit to the left here. Get some instrument flying going. Speed is returning to VY. Yeah, so that took me a little bit off my guards. Clear of the Bravo. Because I still needed to transition another Bravo sector before I actually was outside of the. Okay, there's our track, 4,500.
22.6 Long Beach ground clearance, San Diego Limburg Airport.
There we are, in the soup.
On departure, fly runway heading until 800 feet.
Alright.
Then fly heading 180.
4,500.
Radar vectors Victor 25, then as filed.
There's our track.
Maintain 3,000, expect 1,000 when minutes after departure.
Getting
Departure
cruising
frequency
modes.
128.1, squawk 6515.
We're in the clouds, 11 degrees on the clock. On the temperature, I mean. Alright, let's catch that track. So don't need to, I mean, in terms of the temperature, we don't need to set the veto heat.
Rank 2260, read back correct, except the airway, the initial airway is Victor 25.
Alright, cruising RPM, something like this. Let's lean as well, get that EGT nicely high up. We're nicely on track from the TNS.
SoCal approach 134.9.
Turn on the autopilot soon, but just have fun flying here by hand, guys. A little bit more EGT. No. Thanks for the follow, guys. Shivan, thank you. Yeah, that's a nice EGT. Trim a bit. Perfect. As you can see, also the CDI here is reacting, so that we're a little bit left of the track, which is hard to see if you look at the display. So we could also just fly that that needle. A little to the right there. Let's do that just for fun's sakes, and it should slowly creep in.
316 SoCal approach, LA altimeter 2987.
It does, very slowly. Landing lights off. And we're leaned and ready to go. Engine is still looking good. I'll need to keep flying that heading, Tim, in order to track that needle, but you can see it's slowly creeping in. Now, let's turn on the autopilot, because that's partly the idea of today's flight. So, well, we're 200 feet too high. Autopilot is on. Altitudes. BS. Oh, that's nice. Already set. Let's get that altitude going first. We can also just hit nav, I think, and that would work. Nav. Yep, nav is now on. So we'll try to catch that needle. Looks good. 300 feet and descending. So as soon as we're at 4,500, which was a good tip. I don't know who actually provided me that tip, but it's now better to actually set it to 0 vertical speed indication rather than hitting the alt button. So you always know what the vertical speed is as soon as you press the altitude button here on the autopilot. So now we're flying on the autopilot. Speed is a bit high, but well, why not? HET is looking good. Can we improve on it? Nope, we cannot. Still on the frequency. Good. And there we go. So I recovered good. I recovered nicely from that confusion, but that confusion was not really that necessary. Yeah. So yeah, that's land goal for you guys. You just follow a line on a map. You put in the autopilot, which is not really slant golf, obviously, but still, flying autopilot. This is actually what most streams look like on Twitch if you go to Microsoft Flight Simulator. And now, it's almost like the convention of such flights. And I need to talk about my personal life, talk off topic. It's so much more boring than just flying on hand. But again, it's interesting to see, and you can see the. I totally see the value of flying the GNS here, the GPS. It gives you so much situational awareness, and that's great. It's also good that you know how to program it. I think it's also, as a slant alpha kind of guy, it's good to be able to use the GNS to get to your nearest airport, perhaps even to set the autopilot if you are sick or whatever, in flight. I mean, unexpectedly. So that's all nice. Also see that the flight plan is not cross-filled with the 430. And I think I'm able to do that. Menu, no, I need to go to my flight plan, I think. Menu, cross-fill, yes please. Yes. Message. Personal license, yeah, I know. I thought I just hit crossfill, and I would expect to see a line here in the 430 as well, but I don't see it. Perhaps I should. Oh, I should pull it, not push it. Was also a remark of some of you guys. So the other way around then. Menu. No. Flight plan. Menu. Can I go up? No. So apparently I do need to push it from the 530 to the 430, but it doesn't seem to work. Well, it's not grayed out at least, the feature. Let's see. There is Palomar. Very good. So as soon as we leave this sector airspace, which is, yeah, 6,800, which is still on top of us, so we could actually already start our climb. Why not? We need to go to 6,500. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're just going to put in a nice climb. A bit more power here. Not going to go up that fast. We don't need to climb fast. We're going to again go into the soup. John Fly, reasons for Reality XP versus default GNS. Well, John, I just like the full featured thing. And I don't know what the limitations are of the default, so it's just geekiness. I just would like to have the full device happening. So perhaps that question is not really the right one to ask me. I just like to fly with the real thing. That's why. And the advantages are, well, full compatibility. I guess also a more current navigation database, but I don't know for sure. All of this crossfill stuff, which apparently at my end here doesn't work quite yet. Other things. No, not on the top of my head, but there you just need to look up the. They will give the RTX a try. Yeah, I think so. The only thing that I was a little bit surprised of was that the Reality XP also works with the A2A, right? With A2A 172, 182, and all of the whole suite of the A2A aircraft. And A2A has also provided, as you know, a additional app that you can run to integrate the Reality XP with your A2A aircraft, right? Which works, well, neatly. With the X-Plane, however, also with the stock here, such an app is not provided. Reality XP is not providing such an app. So you need to actually tinker a bit to map the Reality XP functionality onto the virtual GNS in the cockpit. And I was not expecting that. I was expecting it to just work instantaneously after install, which it didn't. So what you need to do is, and it's described in the manual, it's not that difficult, but I think is not that necessary though. So you need to make a screenshot, a particular screenshot of your panel, of your cockpit, where you will see the GNS in it's a 2D kind of screenshot. And you need to figure out the right coordinates of where your GPS is located relatively in your cockpit, and you need to, well, use those coordinates to even calculate some.
Just want to contact a Torrance Tower 133.07.
Put those into some config file, and then it works. Not that difficult, but I think a little bit unnecessary. It would be nice if they could automate that, especially for the default 172. Ah, finish. ReadyXP has a full set of RNAV overlay features, Roger. Tell me about your childhood, Sniper says. Yeah, well, there's nothing else to do, right? Still, we're climbing 300 feet per minute.
061 Tango Torrance Tower, runway 11 left, clear to land, wind 13,
anything else that we need to
at
check?
11.
Well, not really. And as you can see, Snipe, hopefully, the GNS is providing all of our times, even distances and stuff. No, it's not providing times, just providing distances. I think I can change that as well. Push the cursor. No, not that one. Also not that one. How can I get in? I thought it was push the cursor. So now I have a cursor where I can actually use, which also works now with the radials here on my panel. As you can see, that cursor is changing now, and I can use the outer knob like it would with the real world GNS to go laterally and vertically with my inner knob, and then press enter and get a user waypoint going and actually use that as part of my flight plan, which is neat. But that's not actually what I was looking for. I like to, you can change what these fields are displaying, and I could change one saying what's the estimated time of arrival of my next waypoint. You could also go to the first page here. Perhaps this one shows a time. Yeah, and route time. This is actually the default page to look at. And again, guys, this works really, really nicely with the radio panel, as you can imagine. Now again, we're flying to a restricted area that I was always quite anxious about, but as you can see, that is 25A and D. Let me see. Do we need to look out for that? Yeah. Whoa, what's happening there? I heard that. Oh, 6,500 is also coming up. Again, I would like to hear a bleep here. Let me first finish this stuff, guys. Wow, this is also a very nice view on top of the clouds. With the autopilot, it also has an arm function, or more elaborate autopilot, I guess. You would also hear a audible sign that tells you you only have 1,000 feet left until you reach your altitude. In our case now, this autopilot is not telling us that, so I need to be mindful myself to know that I need to set this thing to a vertical speed of 0 at 6,500. So that's first. Almost forgot about that. And I guess that's also interesting in terms of the psychology, I guess, of flying with an autopilot or flying by the guides by the guiding of the GNS. Is you become a little bit
parking via Hotel Alpha,
not really complacent,
have a good day.
But you become a little bit lazy because you're expected to just lean over and the autopilot and GNS will do all the work, right? But still you need to be critical, obviously, and double check things. Which is not that much of a risk, I believe, when flying on hand and slant alpha, because you need to double check everything because you're in the rhythm of doing so. You're flying slant alpha. And 6,500. And now we should get a sign as well here saying we're going to make that turn soon, which is nice. So just enjoy the view here, guys. Look at this default clouds. And again, what I also like about the default clouds, I've explained, they are reliable in terms of their depiction. I know that if I fly a little bit further on, I will go into IMC. With X-Enviro, that was not the case. I could fly in VMC, in clear skies, around a cloud, far away from a cloud, and suddenly be in IMC, which is very, very annoying. Left to 303 now. And there we go, making that turn. That's nice. Next leg. 25 minutes to go. We're now flying over this restricted area. And usually I was always a little bit anxious to do so. But, and that was what I was telling you about, the real restricted area goes from the surface up to 2000, and from 2000 up to 11,000 is intermittent by NOTAM. So only if there's an active NOTAM, then that restricted area is active. So in our case, we're flying above 2,000 feet. We're fine. I hear someone.
What's up?
Hey, Avanek, I heard you just jump in. Doing fine. So you you did send in your thesis yesterday?
Yes, I sure did.
Nice. So now it's time to get flying, or are you waiting for the final comments and assessment before you're actually going to start flying again?
No, that's going to take way too long. I'm
Good.
hoping to do a stream tomorrow.
Nice.
See how things will go.
Nice. Good to hear. So I have to do the measurement for every plane, I assume. Exactly, John. Exactly, and that's a little bit of a bummer. Yeah. Captain Boeing, so did you get the ready XP for the 530 and 430? Yes, sir. I did. Finish. When we went in the DC-9 sim with a certain captain, it took him about 50 minutes to get used to raw data again. Yep. But still, again, the joy for me and the thrill of flying. I'm curious to know your opinion about this, Evanek. To me, flying Slant Alpha or just by hand is so much more fun than flying on the GNS. Still, I appreciate the sophistication of the GNS, and it's nice to see it working. And I also think it's interesting for me to know how it works and to show you guys. But still, I would prefer flying Slant Alpha.
Yeah, I think I share your opinion, but I haven't really delved into GPS stuff, and I'm curious to see how well you can use the two at the same time. You can use the GPS as a
Roger.
Well, as a secondary, not sure how you would call that.
Aid or
backup
aid.
But still rely on visuals if you're via VFR, of course.
Yeah, that's a good one. And actually, that's also something that Finnish talked about when we did our stream together. That he was saying that it's also therefore good practice to even keep tuning in the VOR frequencies and stuff and the radials as a backup. Perhaps that's also the advantage of not using or not connecting the GNS to my NAV1 instrument right now, because now it's tuned into the GNS and I cannot really use it. Well, actually I could have manually, right? Also the NAV2 I could use, and the ADF if I'm flying to any NEPs. Currently I'm solely relying on my GNS here, and I think
and that could be a bad thing. And
yeah,
I think there's a lot of people who are streaming or not streaming, who are only used to do IFR stuff, and they fly SIDS and stars just based on what their flight management computer is telling them, but they have no idea what radial they're on, what VOR they're flying over.
Exactly. Yeah, that's risky business. Yeah, so in my case, and I think that should also be part of this flight, I should have also, for example, we're now flying to the clock snipe. Yeah, again, that's also one of the great features of using flying Slant Alpha. Is that you need to fiddle around with the clock as well. Now with the GNS, the thing is doing that for us. 21 minutes on the clock. But now I could also tune in my NAV2, that was what I would like to say here, NAV2, to Seal Beach, because that's the one that we're flying towards, right? So that is 115.7, 115.7 in my NAV2. It's now set, as you can see, and now we can set it, and it should give us a heading of 30 something. Whoa! That's an abrupt weather change. And my autopilot is having a hard time recovering from that, I see. Yeah, corresponds. So now, because I've got a backup, if now the GPS might fail, I still can continue my flight because I have a backup. I've got redundancy going. Yeah, that's also a good reminder. I knew about that, but I didn't apply it yet for this flight.
Yeah, and I guess a higher chance of, well, the GPS of course doesn't fail just suddenly, but there's a higher chance that you entered an incorrect flight plan or made a mistake when entering your route.
Exactly.
And then you're just relying on, oh, I need to turn to the right here. You just do that and suddenly restricted airspace or stuff where you shouldn't be.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but yeah, I don't know. Currently I've got the feeling that the GPS or the GNS in this way is actually a bit distracting of my mental preparation or mental rehearsal of what I'm actually doing. It's taking away some cognitive processing that is actually quite valuable and I should still engage in while I'm using the GNS. So I'm noticing in myself.
HIM constant call approach 128.1.
128.1, Papa touching mic. 128. 1. Circle approach, Kite Papa touching mic is level 6,500.
HIM circle approach, John Wayne altimeter 2988.
88, Papa touching mic. 88. 88 it is. Oh, that's a bit too much. 8. 8. Oh. Alright. What was I saying? Yeah, so I'm noticing that I'm lazy. I feel that I'm allowing the airplane to fly itself. Well, actually I should be much more engaged or critically aware of what I'm doing. Also for flying without a GPS. But it's tempting to get lazy, and that's why it feels that it's kind of like a drawback somehow. I don't know how to phrase it.
Yeah, I understand.
So it
basically you have a map telling you exactly where you are and exactly where you're flying to.
Yeah, I see, and also you see a purple line, you see your airplane icon on top of it, you think, okay, I'm on track, nothing to worry about. But actually I need to rehearse what we're... I should now already listen to ATIS, for example. Let's do that. Let me see. Let's calm to 113.8. Let's have a listen. If we can listen. Does LAX have a ATIS? I hope so. 13.8 or 135.65. Okay, perhaps we need to...
San Diego INTL Information Whiskey.
135.
100 Zulu weather. Wind 150 at 6. Visibility more than 10.
No, that's the wrong one. Disable it. Reload. No. No LAX ATIS. That's still a bit weird, where quite some few airports in the LA area are not... do not have an ATIS.
Los Angeles INTL Information Whiskey.
Whiskey we have.
100 Zulu weather. Wind 110 at 7. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 1,700 few. 4,300 broken. 6,300 overcast. Temperature 20. Dew point 15.
Oh, that's interesting.
Altimeter 2986. Arriving runways 07 left.
Yeah, it's enough for me. Okay. So, winds 110 at 7, we've got whiskey, and we've got all kinds of clouds there, so that's going to be interesting. Luckily, we have the GNS here. But in terms of a visual approach, I don't have an ILS or anything set. I'm not going to tinker with that as well, so if the weather is still as bad once we arrive at LAX, I'm going to clear up the weather because I'm not prepared for that. X-Orbit, thanks for the follow.
Talking about weather, you got a very important comment.
Let me see, what comment do I have? What comment, Alec?
It's currently 6 degrees outside temperature and you're flying through visible moisture.
Oh yes, very good. Yeah, I was already pointing my mouse cursor just a while ago when we were chatting. Exactly, I noticed that as well. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, put it on. Yeah, so it's just, again, it's not freezing, so it should be okay, but it's always good to be on the safe side, and that's why it's good to turn on the PilotEdge. Look at this one, my gosh.
Did you get the feeling we forgot something?
Sniper's really digging his sound bits here, and they are great. I totally agree. Wow. And I guess that's also one of the attractions, I guess, of becoming an instrument-rated pilot also here on PilotEdge, if you really try to stick to the rules, is you can fly much closer to the clouds, obviously, and get much more scenic cloud views than as a VFR pilot, where you always need to remain clear of clouds most of the time. But it's also something that I'm looking forward to flying with real weather, flying into and outside of the clouds. Usually it's quite pretty. Hey, I see some traffic there. Left bottom. Here. Let's see. That's close. Would have liked to see a traffic alert there. I think it's also built into my GNS here. I think you can enable that. So
I was just about to ask you, can the GNS show all the traffic?
yeah, I think so, but perhaps I need to enable it also in the GNS, and I don't know how. And it can actually display the relative altitudes of those of that traffic relative to your position, which is kind of nice. All right, but let's not get too comfortable here. So again, engine is looking good. 6,500, so that means we're going to overfly the John Wayne Charlie. That's good. We're also going to underfly the Bravo here, at least the first part of it, because as soon as we go beyond Seal Beach, we get into a Bravo that starts at 5,000 up to 10,000. So I'm expecting to get a Bravo clearance from there, but perhaps the approach controller is going to give us a altitude restriction already and say, well, Tim, before you're going to get into the Bravo, you need to be there.
Scout 306 from McClellan John Wayne Airport.
At that altitude.
Runway 6 departure procedure.
So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen.
Paradise 270 radial. Victor 363. Poxcu. Victor 8.
Oh, that's interesting,
Seal
John.
Beach. Direct.
No.
Maintain 6,000. And departure frequency 135.4. Squawk 6117.
Oh, Stefan was the one who was referring to the weather.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see. Roger. Stefan, thank you. All right, let's also make it a little bit more scenic here to get a little bit more of a sunset. Let's then also turn on the nav lights while we are at
06 from me back.
Okay, in any case, I'd like to hear cleared into the Bravo explicitly by the controller before I can continue my flight beyond Seal Beach. So if I don't hear it, I'm responsible, and I just need to circle on my airway here. Very curious. I'm expecting that I'm going to get instructions to fly towards a particular reporting point. Perhaps even here at the bottom. Queen's Gate, or what the other... Let's see. There are different sectional charts here on ForeFlight. And sometimes it's loading this one, where those visual reference points are not depicted, and sometimes it does, which is weird.
Sky 2306 Romeo, only 6 taxi via Alpha.
Well, anyways. Vincent Tumbridge Bridge is over here. I think, or perhaps a mini route or something like that. Perhaps we need to rehearse that as well. Lyceum route.
I think the coastal route uses the Vincent Thomas Bridge.
Let me see. Coastal. Yeah, true. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I don't know what... Perhaps we're going to get such a inbound leg towards LAX. What do you think, Avanek? What's going to happen?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
I think they're just going to say cleared to enter into Bravo. Maybe they'll give you instructions, but I'm guessing they'll make you fly your own heading or own navigation.
Yeah, that can also be the case. You can also set the heading bug already to a runway. Oh yeah, as you can see here, the runway 25s are at the south side of the airport. I'm going to expect that we're going to land at 25 left, something like that. The cat 11 rating. We're also going to depart 25 left, so let's set the heading marker ready for traffic patterns. Estimated traffic pattern altitude, but we did not see it here with the airport remarks, so indeed let's just use the 1000 feet AGL rule. And indeed the airport elevation is around 100 knots, 100 feet, so 1100 feet will be your traffic pattern altitude, okay? Still 7 minutes to go to get to Seal Beach. In that time I'd like to receive a Bravo clearance or some kind of instruction. And I guess we don't, we're on flight following, so the approach controllers know what our intentions are, so we don't need to request it. Either way, we do need to request it if we don't get it, the clearance, or the controller is not that proactive. Let's see what's gonna happen. Translucent clouds here, very nice. You can see all of the traffic there on my right side view.
Approach 2 to the Papa, this is it, sound scrap.
So again, this is totally illegal as VFR pilots. We need to remain clear of clouds, but hey, training purposes and the advantages of flight simulation. Exactly, finish. Secret IFR.
572 Julia Papa, always try the lowest available. So you're going to have from the bottom, from the lowest to the highest, you're going to have clearance delivery, ground, or tower. So if there's a clearance delivery frequency available, try that. If that doesn't work, try ground. If that doesn't work, try tower. And if that doesn't work, you try approach.
John Fly, X-Plane 11, exactly. Well, John, you inspired me to get over to X-Plane. 5 minutes on the clock before we reach Seal Beach. Again, I'm going to give him some time.
Drone form up, gentleman clearance. On departure flighting 240, maintain VFR out of low 2,400. Departure frequency 128.1, squawk 625.
Yeah, Stefan, I'm also in love with
6254.
X-Plane 11. It's gorgeous. And again, I'm also liking that any new incremental update of X-Plane, the new versions, will actually give us more performance improvements as well, because they are shifting towards making much more use of the graphics cards than the CPU.
Official drill on Papa John ground runway 20.
Which is great.
Left.
Yeah, they're doing some great work.
Yeah.
Actually, going quite fast. Actually, when they announced that they're doing the performance improvements, I thought it would probably take a few years, but it's actually going quite fast now.
Yeah. Okay. I'm now getting a little bit, not really anxious, but I'd like to hear something of the approach controller. Just to be sure, my map. After Seal Beach, we are entering that Bravo, right? Yeah, 5,000 to 10,000. Before we're at 7,000, so we're still 500 feet below that one, and outside here there is no Bravo. So, indeed, once we are beyond Seal Beach, we need to have Bravo clearance. Curious to see how they will guide us through. I think that is already LAX. They're in the far distance. Also, fingers crossed, OBS is still running.
572 Juliet Papa, Southwest ground, clearance request.
Yeah, John, I don't know. No. I mean, we can descend, but we got that Charlie
Entry 14, John 1
airspace
Tower,
here.
120 left to Kilo, clear for takeoff, wind 160 at 11.
So there's not much room for us to descend
Air 2 Juliet Papa, clear to Santa Barbara Airport.
underneath that Bravo.
Actually, before we do that, what's your navigation suffix?
But I guess the controller would like us to guide us underneath that Bravo, but on his own terms. Through the
what's
Vincent
your
Thomas
recommended
Bridge, 2,700, something like that. So that's why I'm just going to do a generic call here soon to say what we like us to do. We're 2 minutes on the clock.
So no GPS on board? Air 2 Juliet Papa, thank you. Clear to Santa Barbara Airport on departure, flight runway heading. Radar vectors Gaviota, then as filed. Maintain 5,000, expect 7,000.
So let's just be total transparent.
Departure
and
frequency
ask him,
120.55.
what do you have in store for
Squawk
us?
5167.
Yeah, eccentric, exactly. Something like that.
PHTI, maintain VFR 4,500.
VFR 4,500, Papa Delta Mike. 4,500. Now let's get a little bit more of a descent here. 500 feet standards. A little bit less on the RPM. And confirmed. There we go.
I 2 Juliet Papa from understand.
So,
Papa,
indeed.
Contact departure.
He likes us to get underneath the
PHTI, contact SoCal, approach 124.9.
124.9 Papa Delta Mike.
41 Papa 1400.
Air 3 Papa, so we've got departure radar contact. Cancel out 2 restriction, resume all navigation.
Socal approach, Kite Papa Delta Tango Mike is descending through 6,200 for 4,500.
PHM SoCal approach. Fly heading 350, maintain VFR 4,500, LA altimeter 2987, expect runway 25 left, and advise you have what?
Run heading 350, altitude 4,500, altimeter is 87, and we can expect 25 left. We've got whiskey.
PHTM, thank you. Cleared to enter Los Angeles Bravo airspace.
Cleared to enter Bravo airspace, Papa Delta Mike. Okay, so far so good.
Alright, 230 Romeo, try to pay attention to the conversations that are going on the frequency.
350.
It's not that we don't hear you, it's that there's just not enough time world for me to give all the instructions to 2 other airplanes and then you. I did hear you though.
So I switched off
Tower,
nav,
runway 6, clear for takeoff.
switched on heading with my heading bog, 350, there we go. 4,500, we're still descending. We can expect.
For 06 runway, use the clues if the controller is constantly talking, then he might have heard you.
Woo.
And then when he stops talking, if he doesn't respond to you, then he
yeah, I
might
guess
have
so
not heard
too.
you.
I guess so too.
Kind of an IFR approach then.
Yeah, I guess so. So there is LAX, I think, on my left wing.
Air 2 Juliet Papa.
There's 25
clear to Santa
left.
Barbara Airport. On departure flight runway heading. Radar vectors Gaviota. Then as filed. Maintain 5,000. Expect 7,000.
Landing
10
lights
minutes
on.
after departure.
8
Departure frequency
degrees outside, still keep my
120.55.
pilot pitot heat on. Interesting. This is cool, guys, don't you think? Wow. I also should fix myself some kind of a face light here, because especially when my screen is not that bright when flying at night, I don't have any light that lights up my face, so I'm actually one big shadow blob. Some kind of a LED ring or something that I need to mount on my cockpit one way or the other. Ha! There's the strobe light again, flashing in the clouds. That's nice. My eyes. Just look down. Keep my strobe lights on.
Air 572 Papa, San Luis ground runway 29 taxi out.
Up. up, up. Yeah, LAX all the way over there. I'm interested to see how he's going to line us up. I guess you're right, Evanek. He's just going to vector us up for 2.5, like a IFR approach. Interesting.
Fall Papa Rotor Source terminate squawk VFR for exchange proof.
Alright, 2 cloud layers. Indeed, finish. Indeed. Good IFR practice it is. Then there's some strobe lights on. Mixture still set. It's fine by me. Where is LAX? It's over there. Nice.
Your assigned altitude was 4,500, right?
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Just saw your altimeter.
Trusty co-pilot. Thanks.
Yeah.
Just going down to 1,500. Just.
Yeah, there's still Northrop Delta right next to LAX. I'm guessing he wants to
Roger. Thanks a
stick clear of that.
Yeah, and again, hence the altitude arm feature. There we go. All right.
Air from Papa, Hawthorne Tower, squawk 4561, remain outside Bravo airspace and all Delta airspace, and altimeter 2987.
Finish, you should nail the procedural stuff with this.
DHTIM lighting 260.
260 for Papa Delta Mike. 260. Yeah, this is nice IFR-ish vector to final stuff, but still, I need to practice all of that, all of those instrument plates and procedures still. I've been really focused on.
It's got 230 signal minutes, so cut departure. Radar contact.
The GNS, but next up is the departures and stuff. I don't know if I can also practice those on PilotEdge, if I can just request a instrument departure.
I think you can.
I think as well.
It's got 23061.
Marcus talk about that.
Never change your frequency.
In a discussion about PilotEdge versus
without
FETSIM.
permission, without advising. For example, if this were the real world right now, that tower controller would be over there trying to switch you
that you can request
and not hearing you, so that he'd call the departure controller and say, hey, this guy's got his radio's out or something, or do you have him? And then just extra work for no reason. So if you just call the tower and say, we're switching now, and to get an acknowledgement from the tower, then you're fine.
Yeah, but still also with the altitude, same thing happens. If I fly by hand, I'm constantly checking with my scan.
HTM advise you have the airport. It's about 11:30 and 12 miles.
Indeed.
Now, Roger, we got the airport inside Papa Delta Mike. We don't have
HTM makes straight in runway 25 left.
Straight in 25 left, Papa Delta Mike. Alright, so the weather is not working with us today, as I already mentioned. Customize, manually configured. Let's just go. Beautiful weather. Ha! There we are. Straight in. Okay, so that means. I guess that means only off of the heading and not the altitude? I don't know. We are not clear to land just yet. And again, this would be a great... Perhaps we can do that. Guys, can someone look up what the ILS frequency is of 25 left? And I can do a first visual practice of flying in ILS. That might be fun.
25 left, right?
25 left, I think we are assigned to. Yes.
109.9.
109.9. Switched. CDI needs to turn over, I think. Why do I don't have a glide slope reading then? Because it's set to V-lock, or I don't know how
It
that
should be on nav, I think.
Yeah, it's on nav, active nav, but it's I don't get a glide slope reading there. I think it's because the GNS is preset.
Oh, you're on 109.1, not on decimal.
What do you mean? 109.1, right?
0.9.
Oh, 0.9.
9.
9, that makes sense. Boom, yeah, that works. Okay, so the glide slope is below. Let's also turn off the autopilot, I guess, and just establish ourselves, even though... Yeah, he said... What did he say? He said, well, you can expect 25 left, and then he said... Align yourself with 25 left. I don't know what the exact instruction was, actually.
Thought he said expect straight in 5 left.
I don't know for sure.
Or full up negative.
I'm not sure.
That's not the intent there. Enter the Hawthorne Delta.
No, exactly. Well, the reason why I ask is, can I already start the descent? And I think I can. So
are you on the tower frequency already, or still on the approach?
Contact Center Tower 120.9, correction 119.8.
I guess he will hand you over to tower, and he will give you instructions on what to do.
Yeah.
Sky 06, you clear
I'm already
paradise,
descending.
maintain 4,000.
Perhaps I should just ask. That's always...
06, Romeo affirmative, maintain 4,000.
Circle approach, Sky Papa Delta Tango Mike, just a request. Can we already start our descent, or would you like us to keep it 4,500?
PhD, that was a pattern entry instruction, so you can descend a pattern out.
Roger that, Papa Delta Mike. Yeah, so just...
Skyline 06 Romeo, the instruction planning.
We can just descend to traffic pattern altitude, he said. And I guess before we reach at LG, we're already getting clear to land, I think. Just a straight in.
PHTM approach clearances, even if
yeah, so if you go to tower, you'll probably be cleared.
Could you repeat that for Papa Delta Mike? Sorry.
PHTM approach clearances for IFR and pattern instructions for VFR cancel altitude restriction.
Cancel altitude restriction, Papa Delta Mike.
No, I was just FYI. Approach clearances for IFR and pattern instructions for VFR.
Oh, roger.
Those instructions automatically cancel any altitude restriction you have.
Oh, roger. I got you there. Thanks for the explanation, Papa Delta Mike.
DHTIM, contact tower 120.905.
Over to tower 120.5, Papa Delta Mike.
29.
Yeah, your mic is breaking off quite a bit. 129.5?
No, I'm sorry, 120.905.
120.905, thanks, Papa Delta Mike. Okay.
Control 314 up LA Tower. Squawk altitude and ident. Ident, say altitude.
905.
Alright. Radar contact clear to Bravo airspace, Mineral Road northbound, maintain VFR 2,500, LA altimeter 2987, report overhead.
2987, report overhead, cleared for the Bravo Mineral Road northbound, 41 Papa.
Los Angeles Tower, Sky Papa Delta Tango Mike is on long final, runway 25 left.
PHIM, Center Tower, wind 210 to 8, gust 15, runway 25 left, clear to land.
Clear land 25 left, Papa Delta Tango Mike. Weird that there's a Cessna Skyhawk we're now flying into. Beautiful LAX. Man, what a picture here. It's also looking so gorgeous outside. Look at this, guys. Wow. Now, for practice, let me see if I can just fill along. No, that's not what I'd like to do. Whoop. Weather. Visibility. Done. Fly. Good. Alright, let's see if I can get myself to the glide slope with 0 visibility. Let's first set 1 notch of flaps. Still got a little bit of a horizon outside, as you can see. Don't know why. Let's go down. Some first IMC practice here flying an ILS. That's interesting. So we're going a little bit off course here. Should I also... No, that doesn't really matter. Okay. 2.5, so a little bit on this side. Okay, interesting. Let's also put another notch of flaps to stabilize a tiny bit, nose a bit down. Let's see if I can handle this. A little bit to the left even. Still need to drop down quite a bit to get at that vertical. Should come up any second. Already passing it. This is interesting.
LA Tower 4 and Papa overhead.
Airport and Papa leaving bar space, radar service terminated. Contact Santa Monica Tower 120.1, see ya.
Tiny correction.
120.1 4 and Papa, good day. Santa Monica Tower, November 3141, Papa Pipistrel, Pampera, Mini Route northbound 2500.
Horizontal
Request to overfly the
line
2000 and
is
then get
below
advisory
the
to John
circle.
Wayne,
That
please.
means that you are on top of the glide slope, right? Or is it the other way around?
Control 4 Santa Monica Tower.
Your situation is
Northbound
the
transition
glide slope is
approved, and
below
then
you,
say again
so
your
you
destination. I'm a little confused. John Wayne is behind you.
Hey firm, John Wayne, we're going to make a right turn over the field and then take the VFR corridors back to John Wayne 4 and Papa.
So I'm not really that
Papa.
exact with
Santa
my
Monica
heading here.
altimeter 2988.
Come on, Tim.
88 to 4 and Papa.
3 nautical miles to go. Catch that. And also, I'm descending with 500 feet, but that's the rate at which the glide slope also goes down. So if I like to catch
correct.
up the glide slope, I need to go faster down than 500. Still quite
Quite a lot faster, I guess. You're
Yeah.
probably way too high now.
Yeah, I think so as well. Let's see if I can catch this one. And it's going to get sensitive, more sensitive as well. I think I already busted here. Let's change the weather. Yeah, that was a... No, just visibility. Bum, bum. Yeah, so I'm much too high, as you can see. Yeah, so that's obviously... Yeah, so the glide slope goes with 500 feet per minute. And so I need to descend more rapidly in order to catch up with it. Okay, that's interesting. Now, it's a quick exercise again. Something that's coming up with this stage of training, which I'm really looking forward to. Now, enjoy the scene here. Wow! LAX with a Cessna 172. First time arrival at LAX, actually. And where are we going to park?
500.
Looking here at the taxi diagram, somewhere to the left here, Atlantic. Well, if we're going to go for Atlantic, we have some way to go. It's always hard to spot where you're going actually at night on an airfield. Also should have prepared that a tiny bit here. So I'm just going to put in a little bit more power. I can see a turn off over there, which might be interesting. Wow, isn't this gorgeous, guys? Landing lights illuminating the runway. A little bit nose up. Far too fast, so let's just bleed off all of that airspeed, all of that energy. Nose proud, high up and higher on its tail. And slowly, yeah, perfect. Nose up. Flaps up, I mean. Okay. Little bit of breakage. And there it comes. At Gulf we are. Okay. In the darkness. After the threshold line, beyond the threshold line, I mean, there we are. And back to 1000. Landing lights off, strobe lights off. Oh, already leaned. I did not put in my full mixture full in. That's not good. No before landing checks. That's it. Okay. And Atlantic is where we would like to go, right? Yes. See if we can find it. Los Angeles Tower, Sky Hotel Tango, Mike is clear 25 left, taxi to Atlantic.
PHJ, I'm parking via Alpha, have a good
Via Alpha to parking, thanks for the help today, Papa Tati Mike. Alrighty, taxi lights on, let's go. That was awesome.
Yeah, nice flight.
So what can we learn in terms of general principles of how controllers like to guide us towards a Bravo airfield? I mean, I would expect that he would guide us underneath the Bravo to get to the downwind of 25 left, but that clearly did not happen. He just vectored me towards 25 left. So I guess there's no general rule here, or did it make sense to you?
I'm guessing at LAX it's a little bit of a different story, because if you would fly on the downwind, you'll be entering and exiting the Bravo all of the time, because it's a very narrow strip.
Oh, that's true. Let's see.
So I'm guessing they prefer you to have you on a lower final.
Ground in November 175
close to the
Charlie,
runway.
Cessna Skyhawk.
That narrow
with
piece of
information
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
Sitting on the
And
flight
they need to
school
And
fly
Hawthorne,
and
you've got
traffic
Hawthorne obviously.
looking for VFR
that's
departure to the west.
Yeah. So that's why he factored us.
172 Charlie, Big Street ground, runway 30
Alpha
right,
6,
taxi
where
via
are we?
Alpha Bravo.
We need to go to Alpha 7.
Runway 30 right, taxi via Alpha Bravo 172 Mike Charlie.
There's the LAX Tower.
Skyline 06 Romeo, contact SoCal approach 128.1.
Alright, and another lesson is that with the GNS,
Airport Papa, you say you want to go to SoCal, right?
so I would expect to see
Airport Papa, kind departure, see it to be
Alpha
128.5.
7 somewhere around here.
125 on Papa Kitty.
But I don't see any green taxiways going to the left, so I'm just going to park somewhere around here, because otherwise it takes too much time. We're going to park at Nippon Cargo.
Right, room 4, SoCal departure, ident.
And there's actually a guy waiting. So let's just be professional here, guys. A Cessna Skyhawk. Parking at a parking spot for a big airplane.
4 Papa, contact 15 miles east to the Santa Monica Airport, LA altimeter 298.
Off, 100. Off, cut off. Magneto's off. Parking brake set, taxi lights off, nav lights off, beacons remain on. Pitot heat is also still on. Aye. Reset trim. Prevent crossfeed. Turn off a flashlight. Batteries off. And there we are. So, yeah, I forgot about the before landing checks. Obviously, I did not put in my full mixture. And also did not turn on my pitot heat. So I'm so engaged then in the arrival that I just forget, which is not good. And again, emphasizes the importance of a checklist. And I, at some point, did not really quite hear the controller. Now he's not really that clear on the radio, but still, especially with that turn to final, that was interesting. Frozen Marshall, yeah, exactly. It is traffic dependent. It loads of jets were coming in would have been very, very different. Yeah, that's true, John. That's true. But this was really, really interesting. Let me see. Let's disconnect and have a look at the flight. Disconnect.
Disconnected.
Let's also close the door. All right, and the flashlight off, and the recorder something here. That's a little bit too far out. Here, C, and Control E. Up. Yeah, so this was vector. There's a huge vector out, as you can see. Very far east. But hey, it worked. Here I was descending, and as you can see through my descent, I was just descending with 500 feet per minute, and I was not able to catch the glide slope, obviously. Only here at 1500 feet or 1300 feet, I remembered to go a little bit faster to catch that glide slope. That's something that I will practice in future streams quite often, but that was interesting as well. And in terms of the flight itself, just the en route part was also good. Seal Beach at that time, we got that that heading change. So that was just in time. I was just about to call in to approach to say, hey guys, what do you like me to do to get to LAX? And it's totally different than I expected. I thought we would go for a left turn here to the bay, over Torrance, and then get towards LAX here in the downwind. But as you can see, Hawthorne is located over here, a runway. Well, we could still make that traffic pattern, by the way. Don't know. I would guess it's left-handed here. Yeah, I think Avanek is right there in terms of airspace. Let me see. You will get in and outside. Well, not. You could also get that clearance on downwind, I think. But that would perhaps be a little bit more of a hassle. And as John Fly also mentions, it's quite dependent on traffic. And well, nobody is flying on LAX here on PilotEdge, so that's why we were given this vectored 25 left, VFR vectored to final here on 25 left. Very, very interesting. Also, I forgot with the startup, I forgot to turn my transponder into mode C. Not a big thing, but it should just be part of the check. And again, it emphasizes the use of checklists, but it's just not fun to use those. But I should. I should. Also forgot about the altitude there. Oh, that's interesting. I guess Control P gives you an ILS. Huh, that's interesting. Okay. Another Control P and it turns off. Well. But I totally forgot about that altitude. So if it was not for Avanek to remind me that I was already passing through 5,500, I would have continued my descent. And again, that's kind of like the general theme of today's stream is a GPS is great and it sure is an aid, but it should not turn you off. It's not a replacement of the pilot. So I should actually also learn to practice how to use a GNS, not so much as in learning what the buttons are for and how to program it, but also how to work together, to team up with my GNS and to have redundancy going and that stuff, which I already knew intellectually. I read about that, but now I notice why it's important and that it's actually something that you should really practice. But that's interesting. All right, coming in here to beautiful LAX. I guess we will not see any smooth. Cannot really assess the smoothness of the touchdown because there's no shadow or stuff, so it's hard to see when we are very near the ground. But and again, what's also something should also be part of the pre-arrival or pre-landing is rehearsing your taxi. I was rehearsing or thinking about my my taxi while I was on short final. Not good. Energy bleed off, that was fine. I think my landing was great. We'll also look from it as from the cockpit. Slowly nose down. Yeah, nice. You can see with the smoke, nice rhythm to it. Nose was going down very slowly. That's good. Back. Shiny sky. Man, this looks gorgeous in X-Plane, and I'm already so familiar with night flying here. And still, it's jaw-dropping. So again, we're in the cockpit. Yeah, so high on speed, as you can see, should be 65. So I'm still recovering of that glide slope thing. Till we've got all the runway in the world. So here I start my round off already to get rid of that energy. RPM goes slow, not idle. Here I am, nose up. Get rid of that airspeed. Get rid of that airspeed. There it goes, there it goes, there it goes. Up, 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 up. Until eventually it lands itself. Boom. On center line. And not cracked, so that's wonderful. But I think there were winds. I think the approach control or the tower controller told me there were winds, but I set my own weather here because the weather was not that opportune for VFR pilots to arrive here at LAX. So that's why we had no winds, and it was actually quite a basic landing. Otherwise, it would have been a crosswind landing. I should practice those as well, perhaps tomorrow. Avanek, when are you going to stream tomorrow? How late? Do you know already?
No idea yet, but I think somewhere after dinner, so around time conversions. well, about the same time you started today.
Roger, Roger. And what are you up to? You already have an idea what you like to do?
I want to do the first stream in a while, just as a casual, scenic flight, just getting back into some flight following, nothing special. But maybe after that we'll continue with the CAT ratings.
Right, right. Yeah, obviously you've not been flying for, well, a month or even more or so.
Well, nothing serious. I've been flying off and on, doing a few pattern review.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Small flights, but I want to, get into the Los Angeles area, do some Class Charlie stuff. So
that is right.
Just get back into it.
Very good. It's also fun just to get back to it. I like those casual flights. Looking forward to those.
Yeah, me too.
All right, guys. So that completes today's flight from San Diego or Lindbergh Airfield, or San Diego. No, it's San Diego Airfield, but with the Lindbergh Tower controllers. We departed from San Diego all the way up to LAX. Never done that before. It's the inverted Cat 11 rating flight. It was interesting. I was curious to see how the approach controllers would guide us towards the LAX area. So we learned something on that front. Well, what we learned is that there's actually no general kind of theme or principle to follow to rehearse at arrival. As Keith already mentioned also on Discord, I asked him a while ago and he said, well, just announce your intentions and the approach controllers will take care of the rest. Well, that sounded okay, but with the Cat 11 rating, I know that the approach controllers like you to use that VFR corridor to get as close to the Bravo as possible, just a few miles, just a few nautical miles. So I thought the same would apply to LAX as well. Makes sense. Be clear of Bravo as long as possible because that Bravo airspace is there for a reason. It's being used by big airplanes. So don't fly into that airspace with your tiny little Cessna going only 90 knots or so. Also, that's something that I perhaps would have expected. I thought about it while I was on final, that the controller would have give us a speed restriction as well. I've seen some YouTube videos also from guys flying VFR into a Bravo airfield, and because those Cessnas need to kind of keep up with the airlines, and they can't, but still, they prefer you to come in with high speed, around 100 knots or so, and only at the end or when you're a short final, because you still have some runway to go, reduce that speed and land. So the traffic flow is not that much hampered by a slow flying airplane. So that's interesting. Sniper, another great stream is so educational now that you're adding new things into the cockpit. Yeah, it is. Good to see that you like it as well. Stefan, thank you too. John Fly, thanks for the great stream. I really enjoyed it. Catch you soon. Wonderful, John. Thank you for dropping by and also for chatting for that much time here on the stream. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, that was interesting. Still, though, the main theme is the main objective was to learn how to fly with the GPS, and I get a more real feel of what that entails. It's not just about knowing the buttons and the knobs. It's also not how to change from a flight plan to a direct leg or that kind of stuff, but it's really about redundancy and also how to still remain that critical mindset going while you are using the GPS, which also involves then sending additional and ensuring for that redundancy. But that's interesting, and I should still practice that because I did mess up a few things. If it wasn't for Avanek, I was just flying into the ground, I guess. So that was really educational. Finish, thank you. Also, Avanek, thank you for dropping by here on the Discords. Always.
Sure, no problem. Was a lot of fun.
Yeah, much appreciated. And again, thanks for the catch there with the altitude.
Happy to help.
All right, so Avanek will stream tomorrow. Perhaps I'm also going to stream tomorrow somewhere around his stream. Again, learning how to fly, guys. That's the excitement, at least of the uncertified pilot here. That's the thrill to me of what our flight simulation practice is all about. So I hope you enjoyed as well. Perhaps learned something new too. And I'm really looking forward to that stream, I think tomorrow, perhaps some other day in the week, because I really need to get that pace going to keep into shape. It's kind of like a sports almost. If I do not fly for some time, I can see it in my flight performance. My flight performance degrades and I lose touch with ADC and that stuff. So it's good to fly at least 2 times a week, at least in my case. So that's why I'm flying more frequently here. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining. Avanek, thank you for joining here, and hoping to see you all very soon with my next stream, where perhaps I'm going to do some VFR flying in echo airspace, non-tower traffic pattern, perhaps some crosswind landings, because that stuff is fun as well. As always, happy flights and blue skies. Bye, guys. 1000 with information X-ray inbound for a full stop, and landing 13 left if that's available.
Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike.
Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, Palm Springs altimeter is 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, you're requesting straight in for 13.
If that's available, yes please.
Remember, correction, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, make straight in runway 13 left and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, thanks.
Palm Springs clearance plus 4658 is type PC12 slam call request just to Vegas S-file.
Pulse 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon, unable to give you S-file, I'll be full route down. Pulse 4658 is cleared to Las Vegas Airport. We have flight Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs. Victor 370 to 29 Palms. Victor 538. Cresso. Join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000. Expect flight level 2405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7, squawk 6316.
Palace 4658 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Cresso 3. Initially climb 7,000, expected for 0 after 5, departure 167, squawk 6316 plus 465.
Pause 4658, readback is correct. Tango India Mike, taxi to the ramp via echo and English frequency.
Taxiing to the ramp via echo, remaining on this frequency, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike.
Ontario Tower says that 237 Charlie Alpha, approximately 4 miles to the west, inbound to land.
Number 237 Charlie Alpha, roger, inner left, traffic. Left downwind runway 26 left, report base.
Enter left downwind for 26 left and record your base 237 Charlie Alpha.
Charlie Tower United 242 on the visual for 20 right, will be turning for a right base shortly.
United 242 John Wayne Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 170 at 13.
Clear to land, 20 right, United 242.
Hollywood Tower, Kilo 228 Kilo, ILS 924.
Here 520 Yankee Kilo, Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind 210 at 11. Number 237 Charlie Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
Left clear to land 7 Charlie Alpha.
Palm Springs Ground plus 4658 is trying to weather calling for taxi.
Pause 4658, Palm Springs Ground, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Trail right via Echo Bravo 465.
Riverside Tower, good morning, November 2903 Alpha with Romeo Island.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, good afternoon. Runway 9 clear low approach, report to miss.
November 2903 Alpha, low zone runway 9.